Hi everybody, this is a Mars Hill Latin 4 lesson 21 lecture. Alright, so in the previous several lessons we've talked about gerundives, gerunds, participles, infinitives, a lot of verbals. I wanted to make an appeal to you to remember to study those, to remember what they mean, what the difference between a gerund and a gerundive is, and keep that in your mind because those are concepts that we'll keep using, but often tend to slip from people's minds pretty quickly. So don't be the people that forget them, okay? But this week we're going to look at lesson 21. So this lesson is about deponents. And I don't think we've ever covered those before, so this is pretty new material. But thankfully, no forms to memorize, no new conjugations to learn. So I'm going to look first at the introduction to Unit 4, which is on page 64 of your Form 4 text. And we'll go over this and then we'll start the lesson proper. Okay, so at the top of the page, 64, we see a deponent is a verb that has passive forms but active meanings. So it looks passive, but its meaning is active. Okay. So these verbs are called deponents because they have put away their active forms. So the word deponent comes from de and pono. And you know, de means from. It can also mean a couple of other things, but from. And pono is to put. Pono, ponere. So this is putting away from. So they've put away their active forms, but not their active meanings. So one of the main examples of a deponent word is hortor. So that looks like a normal passive present passive indicative form, but its meaning is I urge. It's not I am urged, which would be the passive, but I urge. So these words don't have passive meanings. So you can't use hortor to mean a passive, okay? Here's an imperfect form, hortabatur, so that is he was urging, or hortati sunt, which means they urged, okay? So those are just three examples of how it looks passive, but it looks passive, but actually is active in meaning. Okay, so what does that mean? These words have no new forms to learn. All deponents are conjugated exactly like the passive of regular verbs. Okay? First conjugation deponents like regular first conjugation verbs, etc. So for hortor, we would, it's a first conjugation word, so we would conjugate it like the passive of amo, so amor, ama, etc. Okay? Alright, so some of the verbals, now verbals, remember, are things like gerunds, gerundives, infinitives, participles. So some of those are exceptions to the rule of the passive forms with active meanings. There are 4 active forms with active meanings. So one of those is the present participle. So that goes hortans, hortantis. And that has active meaning and active forms. Then we have the future participle, hortatorus, and that is active form, active meaning. Then we have future infinitive, hortatorus plus esse, and that's to be about, to urge. And we have the gerund, hortandi, which means urging. Okay, so those are 4 exceptions. Normally, a deponent has passive forms, active meanings, but in those cases we have active forms, active meanings. There is one passive form with a passive meaning, and that's the gerundive. So here's an example of that. Discipuli hortandi sunt. That means the students must be encouraged. So that's a passive meaning, passive form. All right, so that's the only exception where a deponent has passive in both cases. Okay. Now there's another thing called a semi-deponent verb. And that is a verb that is only partially or semi-deponent. Semi means half. It is regular in the present system. So that's the present, future, and imperfect. So it has active forms and active meanings. But it is deponent in the perfect system so that it has passive forms, active meanings. So the perfect system, remember, is perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect. Okay. The dictionary entry for semi-deponent verb, therefore, has active forms for the first two principal parts and passive forms for the third principal part and fourth. So for a semi-deponent verb, we see audeo, audere, so that's the active forms. That's the present active indicative and the present active infinitive. And then we have the ausus sum, which is the perfect passive indicative, but that also includes ausus, which is the fourth principal part, which is perfect passive participle. Okay, you will also learn in this unit where you came from or how to say where you came from and where you're going. And in this unit, there are also 30 new words, 25 deponents, 4 semi-deponents, and 1 adjective. Okay, so moving on to lesson 21 proper. A lot of this will be redundant, but never hurt anybody to hear something twice, I don't think so. All right, so here we have the conjugation of hortor, which is first conjugation, and this one is a fully deponent verb, right? So we have hortor, hortaris, hortator, hortamor, hortamini, hortantor. So that's the normal present passive endings. Again, in the imperfect, we have hortabar, hortabaris, hortabator, hortabamor, hortabamini, hortabantor. And then the future is hortabor, hortaberis, hortabitor, hortabimor, hortabimini, hortabuntur. And then in the perfect system, we take, for each tense in the perfect system, we take our fourth principal part, the perfect passive participle, and then we add different forms of sum. So the perfect takes the present of sum, so we have hortatus sum. The pluperfect takes the imperfect of sum, so we have hortatus eram. And the future perfect takes the future of sum, so hortatus ero. And remember that the participle part can be masculine, feminine, or neuter. So you have to match the gender of the participle part with the gender of the subject. Also remember that when you move to the plural, you need to use the plural form of the participle, which acts like an adjective of the first and second declension. Okay, then we have our participles. So the present participle takes the present stem and adds ns, right? So hortans, hortantis. The perfect participle is hortatus aum. And the future participle is hortaturus aum. And then the present infinitive, hortari. Perfect infinitive, hortatus aum plus esse. And the future infinitive, hortaturus aum plus esse. Okay, then we have our gerundive, which is our gerund, which is hortandi, and our gerundive, which is hortandus aum. And in your book, you see that some of these are highlighted yellow rather than black. those are the ones that are irregular for the deponent. So they have either active meanings and active endings, or passive meanings and passive endings. Okay? Okay, and then on page 67, you have a little bit of review based on the introduction to the unit. So a deponent verb is a verb that has passive forms but active meanings. These verbs are called deponents because they have put away their active forms. There are no new forms to learn. Here we have our listed exceptions. I would highlight those and memorize those because those can be a little bit hard to remember. So those 2 bullet points. Okay, the other verbals follow the regular rule, which is passive form, active meaning. All right, here's an example sentence on page 67. We have Caesar hortatus milites orbem oppugnat. So that means Caesar, having encouraged the soldiers, attacks the city. So hortor, we have our perfect passive participle here, hortatus, but it is active in meaning since it's a deponent. So it's not having been encouraged, but is having encouraged, and it's referring to Caesar. Okay. The dictionary entry for deponents is the same as for regular verbs, only in the passive. So again, we see for hortor, it's hortor, hortari, hortatus sum. And the reason we don't have the perfect and then the perfect passive participle is that the perfect passive participle is already part of the perfect indicative form, right? So we have hortatus would normally be the 4th principal part, but really we're just sort of condensing the 3rd and 4th principal part together in hortatus sum, okay? Okay, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 5 vocab for this week, and those are deponents, regular deponents, and that's what we got. All right, I will see you in class, and I look forward to it. God bless you.